Yep, 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 yep. Hey, what's going on everybody? Shane here. And today we're talking about Taekwondo footwork to close off the distance and land head kicks and powerful punches and even takedowns. Whoa, 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 Shane. Taekwondo footwork to set up takedowns? What are you talking about, man? Here's the thing, don't get caught up in me calling it Taekwondo, all right? This is just where I learned it and I'm using it as a teaching tool to help you understand biomechanically where to position your feet, where to shift your weight, and how to use it in transition to disguise your footwork, to get in close, to land effective strikes, and even a penetration shot or double leg takedown. So whatever you'd like to call it, that's on you. Let me share with you how I learned it and how it's worked for me. Let's take a look. Okay, before we get into setting up punches and kicks and even takedowns, I first want to talk to you about the cat stance itself. And again, don't get caught up in calling this Taekwondo. Taekwondo didn't create this stance. It's just where I first learned it. I'm using it as a teaching tool to help you get into position so that you can land these follow-up attacks. Okay, so what it looks like is this right here. It's 95% of the weight on your back leg, 5% in the front leg, and that's going to change when we actually transition into the strikes. But just give this a try for now. And I want you to be able to lift this leg up, to throw teeps, to check kicks, to even shift backwards and get into a southpaw stance and do the same from there. All right, so you should be able to shift that weight onto the back hip, keep most of the weight on that back leg, and freely lift this front leg up, okay? Some people even call this a tiger stance, some people call this a back stance, others will say that this is a back stance where it's 70-30% of the weight shifted in either leg. Either way, don't get caught up in the names. Let's just talk about the positions, and now let's talk about how we can set up other attacks from here. Now, the first one I want to show is just to set up a jab. Now, in boxing footwork, oftentimes people will say, whatever direction you want to move, always move with that foot first. Meaning, if I want to step to my right, then my right foot steps first. I want to step to my left, then my left foot steps first. I want to go backwards, my back leg steps first. I want to go forward, my front leg steps first. However, I never use the word never or always. I just use the word never. In fighting, you should try to always avoid using the word always or never. And if you ever hear someone teach using the words always or never, question what they're saying. Not to them, to yourself. Think about it. All right, but the reason why I say that is because we're going to move forward with this next sequence, but I'm going to move the back leg first. So what I want to do is I want to step forward with a double jab. And I want you to notice what this does with my position if I step with my rear foot first. So I'm going to hold my jab hand out. Notice where it's at right now at full extension. If I bring this rear leg forward, you notice how many inches I get of reach with that, right? I get much closer to them. So what I could do is I could disguise this footwork by bringing the back leg up with a jab, and then I could really load up with this step and spring into this next jab and get a lot of power on that next one. So in the footwork shadowboxing program that we have on FightTips.com, I actually refer to this as a loading step. Bang. So it looks like this in full. 1, 2. And again, 1, 2. And if I were to freeze, bang, looks a lot like the cat stance that I showed earlier. Now again, there's a little more weight in this front leg here. I still could probably lift it up, but this is probably about 70-30 because I know that I'm keeping that momentum going forward and I'm springing into the next jab, which is going to have a lot of power on that one. Okay, so that's how we can use it for boxing, is disguise this back foot to cover distance and get in quick. And it doesn't always have to come right up to the heel. I can change the angle at which I step. Maybe I want to kind of angle out to my right and then step in, so I can do that as well. I'm coming in at a zigzag, out and in, right? So this one is going straight forward or cutting a bit of an angle, coming in this way. How do we use it with a kick? Well, Rose Namajunas used this perfectly against Zhang Weili in her match for that head kick knockout, where it looked a lot like she was pendulum stepping in for that inside low kick, and that's what Zhang thought was coming in because she shifted her leg back. She tried to evade and take the target away and wasn't paying attention on top, and that's why she got caught. So what she did was she went bang, with that high kick. She brings that cheat step in, or that loading step, into the cat stance, aims low or looks low. They expect that to come down low and then bring it up high, snap the kick out to the head, okay? And that's just one option, is that roundhouse kick or a snapping roundhouse kick. What we could also do is, if it's in your arsenal, I can load it up, hook kick, right? I can load it up, side kick, and it doesn't have to be to a cat stance necessarily. It could be a pendulum step where I just replace the lead foot with the rear. Bang, and then I got that snap kick, hook kick, side kick, what have you, okay? So we got punches, we got kicks. There's also takedowns here too, right? A loading step for shooting the double leg, right? I'm here, I get low, I kind of cock the gun here, load up, and then bang, shoot the shot without sliding on the ground. But again, if we're trying to close the distance, instead of just exploding from here and taking that step, disguise it with a punch, load up with that back leg, then bang, I can really explode in for that penetration shot into the double leg. All right, so a couple of different options here. Again, don't get caught up in, that's not Taekwondo, that's karate, or that's wrestling, or whatever. I'm just trying to show you biomechanically where to get your feet, how to distribute your weight, and then different follow-ups that you can do from there. And also get you thinking about that back leg. I think since it's not in our field of view, if we look down, we can only see our front leg, we forget about this back leg. Don't get too heavy on the front leg. Try to pull some of your weight back. That takes the target, your head, further away from your opponent, which makes you more guarded. And as long as you're not just always fading away or falling backwards, there's a lot of different options that you can do with this back leg, where it steps, whether you're evading backwards or out at an angle, or if you're trying to step forward with either that loading step or shifting completely forward and switching your stances as you come in. But again, start to pay more attention to what that back leg is doing. Put a little bit more weight in, experiment with that, and see how it feels. All right, you guys, thanks for watching. So I know footwork is something that a lot of people have trouble understanding. For me, I went from learning Taekwondo to Muay Thai to boxing, and I think that was a great way of learning how to do it, because it went from very structured forms to then a little bit more freestyled in Muay Thai to very freestyled in boxing, and I was able to connect different points of these different ways of learning so that I could have structure, but also freestyle and just be a little bit more on the fly. And I also, with Taekwondo, learned how to balance in both stances, orthodox and southpaw. So for me, I like practicing both stances even to this day, whether it's boxing, whether it's Muay Thai, or in Taekwondo. Instead of having to always switch your stance back to a dominant stance, I like to always be able to adjust on the fly depending on what angle I'm at and where my opponent is, all right? If this is the sort of topics that interest you, then you're gonna love the courses that we have on fighttips.com. Links down below for a 2-week free trial. Check it out. If you're not completely happy within those 2 weeks, cancel, and you won't get charged anything at all. But I have a feeling you won't, because we got a great community on there. We got great courses on there. We're always updating stuff and always adding exclusive videos and articles and posts on there. So check it out. Links in the description below. Until next time, I'm Shane with Fight Tips for the Underdogs.